Showtime!
Ladies and gentlemen, please make your way to your seats.
Showtime!
Please make your way to your seats. The show is about to begin.
Showtime!
Let the magic begin.
So lab-grown human brain tissue used to control robot. So scientists take another step towards organoid hybrid intelligence. This is scary as crap.
Yeah. So organoids are like they're mini 3D versions of organs. So it's not something like hugely sci-fi. It's just a name that they're given to mini 3D versions of organs that are grown from stem cells. So they allow studying organs like brains in vitro for research. So brain organoids are grown over a decade ago. Were started to be grown over a decade ago, but we're improving them. So the thing is the growing organoids. So they originate from pluripotent stem cells, which are usually embryonic stem cells. And then chemical signals guide them into self-organizing into specific tissues. For brain organoids, they use factors promoting neural cell types, which grow in spinning bioreactors to form spherical 3D structures. Really cool. I wish we had a video to show because it sounds like it would be really cool to show if they had animations or anything. So they can mimic discrete brain regions like cortex, retina, etc. But yeah, so they've created an organoid, brain organoid that can connect to electronics using microelectrode arrays, which allow for recording electrical activity. And they can stimulate organoids by zapping electrodes, translating neural signals into kind of the digital domain. And then the LED screens show visual data to optic organoids and electronics. They form kind of an IC or an integrated circuit. So really cool, but also really scary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is scary, especially when you look at stuff like this. A brain organoid biochip displayed serious voice recognition and math skills. We're building these brain on a chip, literally brain on a chip. Like we're creating mass, artificial, growing it, and sticking a chip in there and making stuff happen. If this isn't scary at a level, I don't know what is. Scientists have 3D bioprinted functioning human brain tissue. So it's functioning a new method. So a new method of assembling neuron cultures horizontally instead of vertically helps solve long-standing issue of 3D bioprinting these things. Go ahead.
The one thing though, and the thing with the lab-grown organoids is they only mimic the cellular structure and signaling of brain tissue. They don't mimic the complex anatomy of a full brain. And I say yet because I think they could potentially in the future. But yeah, as of right now, that's where they're at.
Yeah, to accomplish this feat, researchers have integrated machine learning algorithms into an organoid-enhanced neural computing network, marking
talking about it contains the order of millions of neurons, and I think our brain has, I think it's like 80 billion neurons in an adult human brain, or something like that. So there's a lot of missing neurons.
Yeah, and here's some scientist representation of what a future organoid might look like. So we're growing human tissue, brain tissue, a neural net. We're sticking stuff on it. It's learning. When I say sticking stuff on it, we're sticking machine language and computer chips to have this stuff learn. Is this going to be closer to Cyberman or Daleks? Because this looks like a Cyberman. Where we just get rid of all your personality, get rid of all your stuff, and you just do as you're told. So
first off, before we get into the Doctor Who, that picture that you're showing right now reminds me of Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They just need to put the brain in the stomach as opposed to at the top there. So that's a little scary. I don't know if you remember that. But yeah, so the Doctor, the Cybermen versus Daleks. So the Cybermen were, for those that don't know, they were originally humans who replaced parts of their bodies with artificial and robotic components. So they were blending biological and technical elements. So I think that the Cybermen are closer, but so in contrast, the Daleks are purely artificial life forms. So they're not originally biological. So they possess distinct identities and goals, unlike the basic biometric networks of the organoids, right? So I would say because the organoids originate from biological human brain tissues, just as the Cybermen were originally human before augmentation, whereas the Daleks are kind of a purely non-human mutant race. I say the organoids are more the current state of the organoid technology is more closely aligned to the Cybermen model than it is to the Daleks.
Yeah, the Daleks are some sort of mutated alien form, completely mutated by radiation.
Yeah,
stuck inside this metal shell that.
But it does make sense because I think
life.
if you see a picture of the Daleks, they've got the top of their whatever body is clear, and they've got a brain protruding, I think, in there.
So, where does this go? And, should we be moving forward with this? Like, this is, not, this is scary. And, what are the benefits versus the risks?
Yeah. It's crazy because like, there's so many questions that come into play, right? Like, do the organoids experience any form of consciousness? So if we're talking how far away and ethical concerns and different things like that, like you're using human stem cells to create organoids, which raises consent issues and ownership concerns, right? Implanting human-derived neurons into robotic systems, that blurs the lines between life forms. So so if organoids become more sophisticated, issues may arise related to exploitation, rights, welfare, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of ethical concerns that come into play here. But I think we're still early. I think we're looking at like 20 plus years before we see anything that resembles even close to a human adult brain.
Yeah, it's suggesting we don't worry about human synthetic robot cyborg armies just yet, because the tiny Terminator is only meant as a model for future OI machine. What future OI machines may look like. Like I laugh at that. I was like, what do you mean? It's as the army doesn't have to doesn't have to draft humans who, don't always follow orders precisely.
Yeah. But the thing is if I was doing this kind of research, I would be coming out with statements like telling people not to worry as well.
Of course, but it is what it is. It's silly telling people not to worry as you reference Terminator and cyborg armies. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. So how far? I'm sorry. Could this technology one day repair brain damage in people? This is something I see as a benefit. Yeah.
So that's interesting. There is some potential that they could one day use to repair brain damage in people, but there's still a lot of hurdles. Like organoids could act as a source of healthy brain tissue to replace damaged regions. But again, there's so much about the brain that we don't know. Brain surgery is very complex. But they could help establish new neural connections in the brain after injury. The organoids could deliver therapeutic compounds to support brain repair, but there's a lot of challenges in successfully integrating organoids with existing neural tissue and avoiding immune rejection, right? But again, if they're grown from your own stem cells, there's less of a risk there. But there's organoids could structurally integrate with brain tissue, not just electrically. They could form two-way connections for recording and activating neurons. The goal is regenerating damaged brain areas, not just tapping into healthy areas. So again, there's a lot of ethical issues, but there is potential there. But technology is way far away from that.
And as we sit back and we've talked about the Neuralink earlier on, is this going to potentially allow more advances in that area where
Absolutely.
we generate the brain tissue and the circuit integration and then just stick that into the brain rather than?
I could potentially see that. Yeah. But again, I would say that is 20 years away too. Like they need to, maybe less if they're just trying to kind of integrate it into current brain as opposed to whole brain. But I think this could only help with that with Neuralink for sure.
And other things, like I could see if we can repair neural activity in the brain, then we can solve some interesting problems, like in specific areas of the brain. Like we're way far away from that, but if we can regrow areas of the brain for brain damage, then this is, or do something. I don't know exactly how you'd cut it out and then regrow it or whatever, but it sounds like it has an interesting potential for a human capacity later. I'm not too excited about the cyborg stuff that they're planning on building.
Yeah, no, that's scary stuff for sure.
And is the organic network better than the electronic one?
Yeah, for sure, because you've got a lot more connections that can be made. It's a lot more complex. Absolutely, I would say it can handle things much better than a chip for sure.
Any last words on this?
No, just be careful. Scary stuff.
Indeed. So, Jon, you help companies get government funding.
Absolutely, yeah. So non-dilutive funding, anywhere from pre-seed to Series B. If you're looking to get government funding, reach out to me. If you're looking to help automate your workflows, you can talk to Craig or myself, because we're both looking into that as well. So I'm using AI automation workflows.
Yeah, look forward. I'm planning on starting a thing in August, give or take, around automation challenge, automation face-off, where we'll solve automation problems in multiple ways and with multiple tools and see how that goes. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for everything else, go to TorontoStarts.com to get the podcast, to check out our future events. August 14th, the Futurist, Blockchain Futures After Party. If you're going there, grab your ticket. And, the Blockchain Futures After Party is, or the Blockchain Futurist Conference is Jon's favorite conference of the year.
Love it. Yeah, I love what Tracy Leparulo and her team and Laura Leparulo do. It's a great conference at Rebel and Cabana. If you're into Web3 and anything blockchain related, even if you're not, it's a great conference. They've got people from all walks of life who attend, and it's really well done. And obviously, it's going to be a great after party at Startup Drinks TL for sure.
Wow, that was amazing.
See you later, alligator.